Now that the Pittsburgh Steelers have quarterback Aaron Rodgers under contract, the only glaring weakness is their wide receiver depth, and the front office could remedy that by signing veteran slot specialist Tyler Boyd. As a Pittsburgh area native, Boyd expressed interest in returning home to suit up for the Steelers while hosting a football camp for children in Clairton, Pennsylvania, on June 28. Pittsburgh Sports Now reporter Austin Bechtold was on the scene to speak with the longtime Cincinnati Bengals playmaker who recorded back-to-back 1,000-yard campaigns in 2018 and 2019. "Absolutely," Boyd replied, after being asked if he'd ever consider playing for the Steelers. "You know, all my family is here. I would be able to have all my family able to support me." Boyd went on to confirm that he thinks a Pittsburgh signing is a realistic possibility. "I believe so," he said, "because I'm real cool with head coach Mike Tomlin. He's always been a good person to me, and we always wrap it up together after the game." Boyd also revealed that his relationship with Tomlin goes back to his days at the University of Pittsburgh. "We always spoke," Boyd said of Tomlin, adding, "I think we had a great friendship. But, I mean, if it happens, it happens. If not, it is what it is." Tyler Boyd's skill set could be a match for Steelers QB Aaron Rodgers. Although the Steelers probably need another boundary wide receiver more than a slot specialist, Boyd's skill set does match Rodgers' typical throwing windows and preferences. The future Hall of Fame signal caller has always operated over the middle of the field, making slot receivers and route technicians some of his best friends as a quarterback. Think Davante Adams or Randall Cobb, two players who made a living in that area with Rodgers despite varying degrees of talent. With DK Metcalf already operating as the true X receiver and Calvin Austin as a potential Z, or WR2, Boyd could complement second-year draft pick Roman Wilson in the slot. At the very least, providing some tips for the youngster as he continues to fine-tune his game. Boyd is coming off a disastrous season with the Tennessee Titans, but his yards per reception average, 10.0 yards, was identical to his final year in Cincy, despite recording nearly 300 fewer receiving yards, 390 compared to 667 in 2023, off 41 fewer targets. At age 31 in November, Boyd certainly isn't the playmaker he once was, but he's still a reliable pair of hands that could push Robert Woods for a roster spot as the veteran of the room. Steelers must make WR signing before Week 1. Tomlin and Steelers general manager Omar Khan cannot make the same mistake as last year, hoping for pass catchers like Austin, Wilson, Scotty Miller, and Ben Skowronek to emerge as secondary weapons behind their WR1. In 2024, the lead dog was George Pickens, but not much has really changed with Metcalf taking over for the recent cast-off. Pittsburgh has followed a near-identical blueprint this offseason, replacing Van Jefferson with a similarly unexciting role player in Woods. And the rest of the gang is all back for another go, except with Rodgers slinging the rock around instead of Russell Wilson and Justin Fields. Is that enough to seriously alter the results? Other possible additions, such as a veteran starting cornerback, has taken some attention away from any potential wide receiver pursuit the Pittsburgh Steelers could make this summer. But that doesn't mean the Steelers aren't still prioritizing adding another wideout. One possibility is veteran Odell Beckham Jr. On June 25th, CBS Sports' Cody Benjamin named the Steelers one of 4 teams that are potential best fits for Beckham in what could be his last ride in the NFL. Benjamin also labeled the Cincinnati Bengals, New York Giants, and New York Jets. The Steelers have DK Metcalf as a legitimate number 1 wideout for Rodgers, but all indications are they're still exploring additional weaponry after dealing George Pickens to the Dallas Cowboys, Benjamin wrote. Beckham may not be the standout he once was, but he's also been on Rodgers' radar for years. The Green Bay Packers reportedly tried to land Beckham to pair with A-Rod during the 2021 season, and Rodgers admitted later that he had interest in Beckham following him to the Jets ahead of the 2022 campaign. On a 1-year deal, why not make the dream pairing happen now? Beckham has made second-team All-Pro twice in his NFL career. Over 11 years in the league, Beckham has posted 575 catches, 7,987 receiving yards, and 59 touchdowns. Benjamin called Beckham one of the league's most acrobatic pass catchers of his time. Steelers' remaining need at WR2. As Benjamin explained, The Steelers remain a candidate to add a receiver this summer because although they acquired DK Metcalf, the team traded George Pickens. Veteran Robert Woods, who had only 203 receiving yards last season, could start opposite Metcalf in Week 1. Receivers Calvin Austin III and Roman Wilson are expected to compete for snaps in the slot. The rest of Pittsburgh's receiving core is veteran receivers past their prime or unproven, inexperienced youngsters. The Steelers brought back both Ben Skowronek and Scotty Miller this offseason. Skowronek is a much bigger special teams contributor than on offense. Brandon Johnson, Lance McCutcheon, Rock Taylor, Kushawn Williams, and Montana Lamonius Gregg are the other wideouts on Pittsburgh's offseason roster. If the Steelers are serious about contending with quarterback Aaron Rodgers, the team may need to find one more passing target for the four-time MVP. Beckham could be that receiver, pushing Woods for the other starting receiver role. Why the Steelers shouldn't pursue Odell Beckham Jr. While Benjamin hyped the 32-year-old receiver, he also seemingly argued why the Steelers, or any other team, shouldn't add Beckham this summer. Beckham hasn't played a full season in 6 years because of injuries. While he's been serviceable at times, like when he played for the Los Angeles Rams and Baltimore Ravens, Beckham's play appears trending in the wrong direction. Last season, he made just 9 catches for 55 yards, averaging 6.1 yards per reception, in 9 games with the Miami Dolphins. On December 13th, Beckham and the Dolphins mutually agreed to part ways. The Steelers could use a receiver upgrade, but there should be serious questions about what Beckham has left in the tank. Beckham's last 1,000-yard season was with the Cleveland Browns in 2019. He hasn't made the Pro Bowl or All-Pro squad since 2016. While Beckham doesn't need to be a Pro Bowler or a 1,000-yard receiver to be a contributor in 2025, if the Steelers add a wideout this summer, it should be one who could start. Beckham might not move the needle for Pittsburgh at all because he isn't an obvious upgrade over Woods. The Pittsburgh Steelers receiving core saw a couple major moves during the offseason. They first traded for DK Metcalf back in March, forming one of the most fascinating pass-catching duos at the time with him and George Pickens. But that partnership never made it to the field as the Steelers traded Pickens weeks after the draft, citing some tensions between the two camps as a reason for his departure. Generally speaking, that leaves them in the same place they started once the regular season ended. Pittsburgh has one rock-solid number 1 receiver with questionable pieces surrounding the player. Now facing a one-season deadline to maximize their time with Aaron Rodgers, there is some moderate concern this stable of receivers will not be enough. To alleviate those concerns, CBS Sports' Cody Benjamin proposed the Steelers pursuing veteran receiver and former Super Bowl champion Odell Beckham Jr. The Steelers have DK Metcalf as a legitimate number 1 wideout for Rodgers, but all indications are they're still exploring additional weaponry after dealing George Pickens to the Dallas Cowboys. Beckham may not be the standout he once was, but he's also been on Rodgers' radar for years. The Green Bay Packers reportedly tried to land Beckham to pair with A-Rod during the 2021 season, and Rodgers admitted later that he had interest in Beckham following him to the Jets ahead of the 2022 campaign. On a 1-year deal, why not make the dream pairing happen now? Beckham spent last year with the Miami Dolphins, though his campaign was hampered with injuries. He has teased a comeback this season with uncertain prospects of actually committing to a team. If he's prepared to return, should the Steelers make that pursuit? At a low cost, perhaps it's worth exploration if Rodgers still has some intrigue. But the exact package of what Beckham can offer a team is minimal at this point. Beckham's production has cratered since his final 1,000-yard season in 2019, and he has failed to reach 600 yards since then. His name still carries some weight, but it's highly doubtful the actual player can fulfill what the Steelers are missing in a strong number 2 option.